You know, it's funny. Right before we started the program tonight, we checked over on cable news, and on Fox News Channel, they were talking about the crisis at the border, and on CNN, they were talking about how Trump still refuses to accept the 2020 presidential election results. It tells you something. Yes, we've been talking about the border crisis quite a bit here this week as well, and today was a milestone day as the Title 42 provisions for the Department of Health and Human Services were finally lifted. And if you're watching much of the media, you're not actually seeing so much discussion about what's going on down there, but we need to continue covering this so you are informed. Mark Krikorian is the Executive Director for the Center for Immigration Studies. And, well, Mark, I mean, we have been talking about this. In fact, you and I have been talking about this here in this venue for over a year now. So why is it the president seems sort of caught flat-footed? Oh, yeah, it's going to be chaotic down there. You know, we had no way. They knew this was coming, Mark.
Well, the president's caught flat-footed most of the time by most things. I mean, let's be honest, you know. So, but yes, they knew this was coming. They've been trying to end Title 42, the ability to just bounce people back across the country for public health reasons. They've been trying to do this for over a year. It's been held up in court and what have you. And so when it ends at midnight on the 11th, it's not as though they didn't know. But the problem is they are not willing to do what's necessary to gain control over the border, whether Title 42 is there or not.
Yeah.
So everything they're doing, and they are doing some things, but most of it's basically PR. It's an attempt to make the problem less politically explosive, not to make it go away.
You make a great point, Mark, when the Biden administration or people in the media wring their hands over Title 42. The Biden administration has been trying to get rid of this for over a year now. It was a court that actually stepped in and said, yeah, let's delay this because you guys clearly aren't ready. Can you remind everybody what Title 42 did? Because it's not like people have been stopped at the border very much. In fact, we're seeing record numbers even up until 11 o'clock tonight.
The Title 42 is a shorthand term for a public health measure. It happened, they instituted it during COVID, that allowed the Border Patrol to just bounce people out of the country if they catch them at the border. No hearings, no asylum, no nothing. That was the point. This administration kept it in place when they took over, the only Trump-era immigration policy they kept. But they've been applying it to fewer and fewer aliens that they catch at the border. So they have, in fact, returned a significant number of people who got caught, usually just single men.
Yeah.
But they have let go into the country people that they had in their custody, more than 2 million people like that, 2 million illegal border crossers that they had in custody, and then they let go into the United States. And it's not going to change significantly with the end of Title 42 and the return to supposedly normal immigration enforcement.
However, those protected groups that still were allowed in, maybe this explains why the video footage we're seeing from our correspondent Julio Rosas from Town Hall Media, it seems to be, 80% single men in their 20s and early 30s. That's really the difference here?
Yeah, but the thing, though, yes, it is. But the other difference is that if they're from Venezuela, how do you send them back? Mexico will take some people back who are Venezuelan, but we don't have a repatriation agreement with Venezuela because, frankly, it's a hostile country. So if they can get in, the Border Patrol ends up letting many, if not most of them, go. And as you said a second ago, the numbers have been exploding even before the end of Title 42. The last couple of days, they have apprehended, the Border Patrol has apprehended along the whole border, 10,000 or more each day. And to give that context, Obama's DHS secretary, Jay Johnson, said that 1,000 a day overwhelmed their system. They're getting 10,000 a day now. They're literally just letting them go on the streets of Brownsville and McAllen.
Yeah, and that's why the troops that were sent down there were really just there to help do data entry and processing. I think the American people might be under the misapprehension that the troops are there to actually, do a military exercise like protect our border. That's not it at all.
Nope. No.
So what do we know about the bill the Republicans worked through the House earlier today? Is there anything in there that could address and actually fix the issues that we're seeing?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of important stuff in this bill. It's kind of up in the air because there's also an e-verify mandate, if any of your listeners are familiar with that.
Yeah, they are. We've been talking about e-verify quite a bit this week, and it seems to me from where I'm sitting that e-verify nationwide is a good idea because it addresses the demand part of this equation. But Mark, it appears that some Republicans are against that. I don't quite get that.
Well, they're in farm districts mostly, and they're trying to negotiate a carve out. We'll see if it ends up working out. But there's a lot of other stuff in the bill that addresses asylum reform and a lot of vital changes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's important they get this through the House. They have a narrow majority. They only have 5-seat majority, the Republicans. It's going to be hard. But if they get it through the House, it's not going to be approved by the Senate. The president is not going to sign it. But the way bills work is that you have to work over several Congresses to make progress. So that what this bill would do is say, look, this is what we as Republicans want to do on the border. Remember that in November. It's that kind of bill, and it's an essential step. People may think of it as just sort of theater, that it's not real, but it is real. The only way you get real change is by starting with this kind of step.
However, I mean, so you're now talking a year and a half from now before a new president is sworn in, which means if we continue at this pace, I think the number right now is 6.5 million have entered during the Biden administration so far. And now things are going to amp up a little bit. We could be seeing upwards to 8 or 9 million when all is said and done during the Biden administration. That's the population of, I think, like the 12th largest state in the country.
Well, just to put it in context, a lot of those people were in fact bounced back across the border. The number of people this administration has let in is more than 2 million. Then there's another million or so who are so-called gotaways. These are people the Border Patrol knows crossed the border. They have pictures of them, but they couldn't get them. So it could be, if there's another, 2 years almost of this, you could reach maybe 6 million illegal immigrants on this president's watch. That's appalling. And it's not clear. I mean, the states, Texas is trying to do some things. Florida's trying to do some things. I'm not sure. I think the one thing they can do, there's two things actually. One is impeach Mayorkas, which they're not going to be able to remove him because the Democrats in the Senate will protect him, but it'll send an important political message. But the other thing, use the power of the purse. The next budget, the next year's budget they need to go to the mattresses on this and basically have a government shutdown fight and say, the administration wants to shut the government down because they want the border to be left open. Is that what you people want? Is that what voters want? One
other thing, Mark Krikorian, there's only about a minute left here, but the states, on an individual basis, they can start shutting down benefits at the state level for people who are in the country illegally. I think they have to provide schooling and education based on a Supreme Court decision from many years back. But there's a lot of things they can do that would also, and including statewide e-verify, they can do that, and that would help, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, it would. And in fact, just this week, Governor DeSantis in Florida signed a bill that had a bunch of immigration measures in it, including an expansion of statewide e-verify. Although, again, he ran into a similar problem that the House Republicans are, which is that some Republican members don't like e-verify. So they were only, in Florida, able to expand it to all employers over 25 employees, rather than the smaller employers. Even that is a huge step forward, and more states need to do it. Texas doesn't really have an e-verify mandate. It needs to get one, and so frankly, so does every other state.
Agreed. Mark Krikorian, thanks for joining us as we see truly a catastrophic disaster on our southern border unfold before our eyes. It's O'Connor Tonight. More to come.